But come on, let's concentrate on Jeff.
The world's richest couple's divorce is one step closer to being done.
Sure, them. They snapped the picture.
Wasn't trying very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she knew Lauren. I think she knew exactly what she was doing. First of all, Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez got married, and I was like, what? Two rich people got married? I bet those were some beautiful protests, and they were. I'm sorry, but can you imagine people disliking you so much they protest your wedding? People protested your wedding and you're not even gay. That's how you know you're bad.
So this is just a long-winded way of saying, I think something's happened to her. Like she just kept wanting to trade up when it came to money and power and fame, and not coincidentally kept trading up, obviously, on the plastic surgery. Only by up, I mean poorly.
One moment.
Lauren Sanchez breaks down after Jeff Bezos' $5 billion lawsuit goes public. YouTube. 1 minute, Lauren Sanchez was the picture of elegance, walking down the aisle in an exquisite $20,000 designer gown, glowing beneath the sparkling chandeliers, sharing a kiss on a grand Venetian balcony with the world's second richest man, Jeff Bezos, in a moment that seems straight out of a fairy tale. And then, almost instantly, she disappeared from the public eye, vanishing completely, leaving nothing but rumors, speculation, and a trail of unanswered questions in her wake. She was simply gone, leaving the world to wonder what had really happened behind the scenes. No more glamorous entrances on red carpets, no high-paying brand deals, not even a single playful Instagram story showing off her designer heels or the polished gleam of a private jet. In the blink of an eye, Lauren Sanchez was wiped off the guest list of the very events she once commanded with ease. Her face disappeared from campaigns and projects she had proudly represented, and the constant media spotlight that once celebrated her every move went abruptly, almost hauntingly, dark. Then came the bombshell headlines, crashing like a storm. Jeff Bezos was taking legal action against Lauren Sanchez. And this was far from a trivial spat. This was a calculated, no-holds-barred legal battle, a staggering $5 billion war that gripped the public imagination with morbid fascination.
So I think they're both now they're doll fantasies of themselves. It was like watching them. Yeah, it was like watching the marriage of two Mattel products. Man and Boob Woman, and will they be able to reproduce? Will they want to? That's the question, because if they do, they'll give birth to a child who looks like a human being and will gaze up from his crib at these, rather bizarre creatures.
Suddenly, everything started to make sense. The eerie silence, her sudden disappearance, the systematic erasure of her meticulously curated online presence. It wasn't a coincidence or an impulsive retreat. This was far more than a simple breakup. It was a meticulously planned dismantling of her public life. A strategic takedown orchestrated with precision and executed in plain sight for the entire world to witness. Every move felt intentional, every absence deliberate, and the impact, both shocking and merciless, left no room for doubt. This wasn't just personal, it was a calculated, high-stakes maneuver designed to send a clear message and leave a lasting mark on everyone watching. Lauren Sanchez didn't just stumble from the spotlight, she was effectively erased, as though her entire presence had been scrubbed clean from the public record. And yet, a question hung in the air. How could one of the most prominent, high-profile women in modern media be completely sidelined by the very man she had vowed to spend her life with? The wedding itself had been nothing short of a worldwide spectacle. Venice seemed to pause in awe, its narrow streets cordoned off as curious onlookers were kept at bay. Looming over the scene, Bezos' colossal superyacht sat like an imperious fortress on the canal, its sheer scale casting a shadow of unmatched wealth and untouchable influence. Cameras captured the diamonds, the couture, the dazzling glamour, but behind the glimmer, a silent, high-stakes battle was already being waged, on paper, far from the public eye.
Ghoulish. I mean, you look like a Mr. Potato Head. You no longer look human. So she spent too much time with these people, and she's morphed. I think chasing these false gods has gotten her to look like a morphed,
Wet Wedding wasn't merely a luxurious celebration. It was a meticulously choreographed declaration. Beyond the sparkling gowns, the cascading flowers, and the applause of onlookers, it served as a binding contract, a strategic redistribution of influence, and a symbolic realignment of two lives that the world watched so closely. This moment wasn't just about love, romance, or exchanging vows. It was about shaping perception, asserting authority, and consolidating control. Every detail, from the setting to the ceremony itself, whispered a message of power, carefully measured and deliberately executed. A spectacle that blended personal commitment with a masterclass in high-stakes image management. Beneath the dazzling spectacle of the ceremony, a quiet but intense battle had already been unfolding on paper. Legal teams from both camps had been working tirelessly for months, carefully drafting, revising, and perfecting a postnuptial agreement. By the time the couple walked down the aisle, every clause had been sharpened, every precaution locked into place. This wasn't mere paperwork. It was a calculated, strategic maneuver designed to put Lauren on a tightly controlled leash, limit her leverage, and fortify Bezos' position well before the vows were even exchanged. Every word, every stipulation had been plotted with precision, turning what appeared to be a romantic celebration into a meticulously orchestrated legal chess move.
Plastic version of the beautiful woman who used to be there striving in earnest to make it on her own, but instead kind of sold out. That's how I see her. Anyway, you take
Any sense of authority or influence Lauren thought she was gaining through marriage came with tightly bound conditions, strict stipulations, unwritten expectations, and meticulously drafted exit clauses designed to keep her in check. The power she assumed she was inheriting wasn't absolute or free-flowing. It was conditional, monitored, and carefully regulated. Every privilege, every benefit existed at the discretion of the other party, ready to be withdrawn instantly the moment she veered from the agreed terms. In essence, what seemed like empowerment was actually a controlled arrangement, a carefully constructed lease on influence where one misstep could instantly strip her of all she believed she had earned. Then came the wedding itself, a breathtaking spectacle, a dazzling display designed to captivate the world and draw every eye toward the fairy tale image of love and luxury. On the surface, it was a grand public performance, a storybook event that mesmerized millions. But behind the glittering facade lay a far more calculated purpose, a private arrangement carefully masked, one that could later be wielded against her if needed. If anyone had wondered how Lauren Sanchez might navigate a potential divorce, the groundwork had already been laid long before the first vows were exchanged. Mere days after the ceremony, sharp-eyed observers noticed something unusual. Her Instagram feed, once rich with candid personal moments, nostalgic throwbacks, family snapshots, and subtle nods to her glamorous life, had been systematically stripped clean. Every trace of spontaneity vanished. What remained were only a handful of carefully curated, flawless images from the wedding itself, each professionally lit, framed, and staged to perfection. No intimacy, no behind-the-scenes warmth, only the controlled image of a meticulously managed brand. Then came the dramatic rebranding, Lauren Sanchez Bezos. She wasn't merely a bride, she had been repositioned, unveiled like a high-profile product launch. Friends quietly unfollowed, social media comments were heavily filtered, and her endorsement deals were immediately paused, an unmistakable signal that everything had changed.
Get from here.
She looks like a sex doll that you pump up with a
And the timing was no coincidence. Every detail of her new image felt calculated, as if it had been drafted, approved, and released by a boardroom rather than posted by a person. Lauren hadn't simply deleted her past, she was being reshaped, refitted into something new, something corporate, something tightly controlled. The woman once known for her presence and accessibility was now guarded, untouchable. People within her circle began whispering, at first cautiously. Former co-workers who once spoke with her daily suddenly found the line dead, messages left unread, calls drifting straight to voicemail, invitations quietly declined without a word. It was unlike her, almost unsettling, as though the vibrant woman they knew had been replaced by a polished version they no longer recognized. And the timing wasn't accidental. Every single detail of her carefully curated new image seemed intentional, as if it had been designed in a corporate strategy meeting rather than posted by a real person. Lauren hadn't merely erased her past, she was being methodically reshaped, refitted into something polished, corporate, and tightly managed. The woman who had once thrived on visibility, warmth, and accessibility now seemed distant, untouchable, almost inaccessible. Whispers began circulating within her inner circle. Former co-workers and friends who had spoken with her daily suddenly found themselves met with silence. Messages left unanswered, calls going straight to voicemail, invitations declined without explanation. It was deeply unusual, almost unsettling, as though the vibrant, approachable person they once knew had been replaced by a carefully controlled, curated persona.
But yeah, it was a brand awareness wedding. You know, people brought their brands. The only disappointment for me in the wedding was that when they stepped gingerly down into those gondolas that were floating in the canals, nobody wiped out. I thought there were going to be way more sort of high-heel disasters, people going into the drink. But there wasn't enough Schadenfreude. I mean, there's plenty of Schadenfreude in the sense that we hope all of them, have boating accidents on the way home, or their helicopters have to land in hostile countries. But I don't think anything's bad is going to happen.
This was a woman whose entire career and identity had been built on being seen and recognized. A television anchor, a media entrepreneur, a bold helicopter pilot, and a constant presence in social circles. Her life had always been lived publicly, thriving under the spotlight. But after the wedding, this wasn't just a gentle step back. It was a complete disappearance. Even the rare times she reappeared, she did so under strict supervision, carefully monitored and deliberately controlled. Her interviews, once casual and candid, became brief, heavily scripted, and almost always tied to a Bezos-related venture. Her travel, once spontaneous, was now routed, approved, and managed by layers of corporate staff. One insider noted that she couldn't even arrange a simple lunch without approval passing through multiple channels. Every aspect of her daily life was filtered through lawyers, publicists, and assistants. She hadn't just married into unimaginable wealth. She had entered a machine, a structured empire, and in doing so, surrendered control over her own story. And then, seemingly without warning, the next shock arrived. Explosive court filings dropped suddenly, landing like a bombshell that no one saw coming.
This couple's divorce is one step closer to being.
For Lauren, this wasn't just a typical lawsuit. It was a methodical dismantling, executed piece by piece with ruthless efficiency. The fallout struck with astonishing speed. Brands that had once proudly featured her image went silent almost overnight. Invitations to high-profile charity galas where she had long been a fixture suddenly disappeared without explanation. Even her seat on the board of a media venture she had helped co-found was quietly removed, her name scrubbed from official documents as if she had never existed there at all. Within a matter of weeks, it appeared as though her entire professional legacy was being systematically erased. At Blue Origin, where she had once led major PR campaigns and even participated in high-profile media flights, her presence vanished completely. Her photo was removed from the company website, her biography quietly deleted, and projects she had championed were reassigned to other executives, deliberately stripping away any trace of her involvement. While the world focused on the sensational headlines of the lawsuit, a much colder, calculated operation was happening behind the scenes. This wasn't just a breakup or even a conventional divorce. It was a corporate-level cancellation, precise, ruthless, and devastating in its intent.
This is just a long-winded way of saying, I think something's happened to her. Like, she just kept wanting to trade up when it came to money and power and fame, and not coincidentally kept trading up, obviously, on the plastic surgery. Only by up, I mean poorly.
Legal teams from both.
And the most shocking part? It was working. Public conversations about Lauren began to dry up. Her social media trended no more. Bookings vanished, interviews stopped, and the spotlight that had always followed her seemed to have disappeared entirely. She wasn't just out of the headlines, she was effectively erased from the public eye. What was unfolding wasn't merely a legal strategy. It looked like a meticulously designed blueprint for erasing a person's presence, influence, and legacy altogether. Behind the scenes, it became painfully clear that Bezos hadn't just acted on impulse. This had been in the works for months, maybe even years. The post-nuptial agreement Lauren had signed wasn't just a precaution. It was an unbreakable fortress of legal strategy. She was stripped of access to Amazon shares, stripped of voting privileges, and excluded from any executive authority. Perhaps the most punishing elements were the restrictive clauses that effectively muzzled her. She couldn't publish, comment publicly, or react in any meaningful way without prior approval. This lawsuit wasn't simply about reclaiming money. It was a precise display of control, a power move crafted to pin her down legally, financially, and socially. Every choice she made now came with heavy consequences. Speak out, even slightly, and penalties awaited. Attempt an interview or comment to the media, and fines would hit. Even minor actions were pre-calculated snares, each a part of a meticulously designed maze meant to trap her at every turn. Her entire life had been transformed into a landscape of legal landmines, leaving her cautious, constrained, and constantly under the shadow of repercussions.
Did they snap the picture? Wasn't trying very hard. Yeah, I think she knew Lauren, I think she knew exactly what she...
Bezos wasn't just ending a marriage. He was executing a meticulously planned, controlled demolition. He had an entire army at his disposal, top-tier lawyers, a highly coordinated PR machine, access to the world's largest media platforms, and the full weight of his immense empire. Every possible advantage was in place, and it left Lauren with almost no voice, no leverage, and no way to respond. The same world that once celebrated her love story was now watching her disappear in real time, powerless to intervene. So where is she now? She's not attending the exclusive fundraisers where influence is bought and traded. She's absent from the historic space launches where billionaires make history. She's missing from the quiet tables where the ultra-wealthy reshape the future. Her absence isn't voluntary. It's the result of a precise, calculated effort. One contract terminated, one project reassigned, one public memory quietly deleted until there was almost nothing left to connect her to the empire she married into. Lauren Sanchez didn't just fade quietly from public view. She was systematically silenced, pushed aside, and removed from the Bezos world with ruthless efficiency. And perhaps that was always the ultimate goal. Not about romance, not about loyalty, but about legacy. Today, Jeff Bezos controls the story. He holds the pen, and the narrative is entirely his to write.
This whole prenup agreement with Jeff Bezos and his attorney absolutely were sure that the prenup would include the detail that whatever state they got married in was the state they had to get divorced.
The lawsuit wasn't just a stack of legal documents. It was the final, unmistakable stamp of authority. A warning. A hard reset. A highly publicized message that made it clear. Inside Jeff Bezos' world, no one remains in place unless they follow his rules to the letter. So the next time a high-profile figure seems to vanish from the public eye, consider this. Did they truly walk away, or were they systematically removed by someone with far greater power? Reflect on that. One of the most visible, influential women in modern media didn't fall because of scandal, and she wasn't sidelined by coincidence. She was strategically erased. This wasn't simply a breakup. It was a full-scale, deliberate shutdown. Which brings up the bigger question. Was this just a love story gone sour? Or was Lauren Sanchez always just a calculated move in a much larger, intricate game of influence and control? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think this was Bezos asserting dominance? Or could there be an even darker layer we haven't yet uncovered? If you've made it this far, you can already feel it. The saga is far from over. More secrets are waiting to surface, more power plays are looming, and the drama is only getting bigger. So make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and buckle up, because what's coming next could leave you completely stunned.
Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez got married, and I was like, what? Two rich people got married? I bet those were some beautiful protests, and they were. I'm sorry, but can you imagine people disliking you so much they protest your wedding? People protesting your wedding and you're not even gay. That's how you know you're bad.